This is upon further review from USCHO. And here's your host, Ed Trefsker.
Welcome to Upon Further Review, our Wednesday podcast where we pick up on a topic we didn't get to on Monday. I'm Ed Trefsker with Jim Connolly and Derek Schooley. And this one got started last week, Jim. We were talking about how many nationally ranked teams were falling right then. And of course, a few more over this past weekend. And I kind of quipped, is everybody bad this year? And you said, well, no, I think everybody's good this year. So why don't we talk a little bit about that? What's leading to it? Why don't we start with the first thing, which is just the increased talent base. There are something like 325 or 330 CHL or former CHL players, some who went by way of U Sports and played university hockey in Canada for a year or two before transferring. How much of a difference does having that many players come in make a difference, especially because you have to assume that if they're displacing other players, then they're at a little bit higher level than the ones who are getting displaced?
I don't think you have to look too much further than looking at Miami. Look right at what they've done. They completely revamped their roster. Anthony Oreen got in late, tried to change it through the transfer portal last year, brought in a whole bunch of fifth years, knew they were there for 1 year. Then he brought in some of his guys from Tri-City last year, revamped his roster again, did not work the way that he wanted it last year, spent the whole year recruiting, and now he's 6-0 to start the year, the last undefeated team. What's the number of players that he brought in this year, the new players?
I believe it's 21 of the 28 that are on his roster were not there last year, Derek.
I think by having a bigger pool, having more talent to choose from, what a perfect year for him. If I would have had the talent pool to start a program this year, this is the year to do it. This is the year to have the ability to go out and get major junior players, transfer portal guys, youth sport players from all over, pro hockey players. Let's not forget those. You get players from all different ways, different walks of hockey ability, hockey leagues, and you can then build yourself a new program. You still have to build the chemistry and culture of your program to get them all to perform on the way that you want to do things. But I think you're going to have to kind of do that every year anyway, because of how transfer portal people coming and going anyway. So I think this is the time that you're really seeing how things are going to work moving forward. And just looking at Miami, that's how it's going about it.
You mentioned culture and chemistry. Getting a bunch of new players in is also an opportunity to repair that.
Absolutely. Start it over, repair it, revamp it. You still have to have some people to show the people the way. I think the one thing that's underestimated is just having people show people all around campus. Hey, where's this class? Where do I need to go to change a class? Where do I need to go to see this professor? Where's our academic advisor? Just within the locker room to be able to help things like that, facilitate that. So it's not always on the coaches or the administration. So you have some leadership within your team. So there's a few things that you want to be able to do. But yeah, that's part of culture and that's part of building a team.
And we're seeing it. I'm glad you brought up Miami, Derek, because I think that's a great story. And it's really a testament to how changing recruiting with the CHL can really change a makeup of a team. I mean, that was a team that was really struggling the last 3, 4, 5 years. So seeing them with a hot start, that's strong. Union's another team I look at in there. Northeastern, they had a tough season last year, and I kind of had them pegged as maybe a team that might struggle a little bit this year. They pulled up a great win the other night against Denver, a 1-0 win, and their goaltender against the shutout was a huge part of that game. I just think that what we're seeing is I think that coaches, and Derek, you can tell me how I might be off base or spot on here, but I feel like the need to change recruiting strategies has maybe even focused recruiting a little bit more for coaches, and they understand that that there is no reason to just build your team one way. There's more flexibility in how you're trying to structure your roster. Coaches are really benefiting from that part, that the fact that there's you don't have to just maintain one identity. You can go find different players. Yes, I think culture-wise, you have to get the right fit for your locker room, but you can go and get different types of players now that maybe you weren't even going after it at a mid to lower tier school. If I'm going to, try to put some sort of a classification, a non-Power 5, a non-traditional powerhouse, school, I'll throw a school like Miami or a Union into that grade. Those are the programs that are finding ways to kind of redefine everything about themselves.
I love what Miami's done. I do. I think but I think a big thing, and you talk about recruiting, another big part is scheduling. You have to do a good job scheduling to know how to revamp you want to have a great start for your culture, but you also want to build some positivity going into things as well. They started with Ferris, RPI, and Lindenwood. Now, they struggled against some of those teams last year, which are good challenges for them. But now moving forward, let's really see how they are. They've got Arizona State, Western Michigan, St. Cloud, and then they've got to go with Ed over to Dublin in the Friendship Four. So now it's going to be, are they going to be 6-6? Are they going to be 8-4? Where are they going to go with these next 6 NCHC games? That's going to really determine, did they get a lot of positivity out of these games? Where are they fake wins? Not fake wins, because a win's a win. Is it overconfident wins? Yeah, I see the smile on your face, so I think you know what I'm talking about. But we're going to see where it is, and I think that's the opportunity to build their culture. So there's a lot more to this changing of the guard in programs by getting a whole bunch of players. It's also making the right schedule for this team, trying to get where it is. I'm still interested to see the teams that brought in a lot of CHL players, and we brought in 3, but how they all adjust to school, how they all adjust to midterms, how they all adjust to final exams, how they all adjust to coming back second semester. Do they all come back? Do some of the ones that came in early, do some go back? Because it always happens that there's some USHL kids that come in early, end up at semester going back for more seasoning. Does that happen here? So how does all this play out is really going to be, we said it on our Monday podcast, there's still so much to figure out as far as this goes. And we're still going to see, while the player pool is bigger, while the game is better, while we're seeing a lot more excitement around college hockey, there's still a lot of questions to be answered that we're going to see moving forward up until Christmas.
Let me ask you this, Derek. I asked this question about CHL and academics to an assistant coach who's heavily involved in recruiting. And I said, is that going to be an issue? And he made the point that hockey, Canada, US, wherever, really is not a blue-collar sport anymore. It's kind of a white-collar, well-to-do family. And he thinks that because of that, some of the academics are not going to be as big a problem. But still, you still got kids who maybe didn't do any school for a couple of years, but you have that in USHL, BCHL. But does the family background make a difference there? Maybe it won't be as big a problem.
I disagree with that, Ed, because if you're in the USHL or BCHL, you've chosen that you wanted to go to college, so you took the right path with courses. Unless for some strange reason there's a one-off there, you had taken the right courses. The major junior kids, they had it. They didn't take the right. They took a track to graduate high school, but they didn't take the right track to be able to go to NCAA eligibility through the NCAA eligibility center. But what we're seeing right now is because they weren't told and they weren't expected, a lot of waivers being granted for this cycle and next cycle. Moving forward, I don't think you're going to see that. So you're going to see guys that had 16 core courses is what you need, getting waivers at 13 and a half, 14 and a half, and the old, hey, just put it through and see if we can get through. That's what they did, what they're saying with pro hockey guys. They're saying that with the waivers now because of that. And you can't penalize the kids because they didn't know the rule was going to change when they made these choices 4 years ago. So I think you're seeing, is it because hockey is a more wealthy sport that you're going to see kids not have issues? I don't know if it's because it's a more wealthy sport. I think it's because you're going to see people choose this track, that this is where they want to go. And they're going to get help through waivers. They're going to get help through people understanding that this isn't the way that they had originally chosen to go. And the NCAA is going to not look the other way, but grant them that leniency.
You know, we didn't talk about goaltending as a specific part of this mix, but you really have, you know, if you talk maybe two goaltenders a team that are really going to be the primary and secondary guys, you're talking about 126 positions across Division I. So sometimes we've seen this even with Atlantic Hockey and CCHA, that maybe the goaltender caliber might be a little higher than the average player. That's just kind of my opinion, what I've seen in the past. But now with more talent in there, how much of this is goaltenders? I took a quick look as of today, going through stats from goaltenders from what we have on USCHO. 28 Division I goaltenders are at .920 save percentage or above.
That's a really big benchmark right there. The goaltending is better. There's no doubt. And I've just seen a few teams in person this year. I know UMass Lowell and UNH are two that both have different goaltenders. Now, Lowell's came from the CHL. UNH was a transfer from Union, but goaltending, we know how much goaltending can change things. So I think that the top tier goaltenders that came in from the CHL just became an addition to what you already had, some decent good goaltending. I mean, it was always strong. As you pointed out, you don't need as many goaltenders as you need forwards and defensemen. So you're always going to have a better core of goaltenders in concept. But now that should trickle down even further. And you're going to see even more of these CHL goaltenders come in and start having an immediate impact. I know Michigan is a case for that. I know I mentioned UMass Lowell. We're going to see a lot of these guys that can really come in and either take a good team and make it great, or take an average team and make it better, and maybe take a team that would be a 12, 13 win team, make it a 20 win team. That would be a big step for any program.
I agree with Jimmy. I'm just still shocked, and Jimmy brought this up, as how many of the top 10 teams are getting beat. Jimmy brought this up on Monday, as how many of the top 10 teams have got beat so far this year, because it just seems like it's happening on a regular basis.
It's 11 through 4 weeks. And I didn't think much of it until I realized that last year there were only 2. And that's a massive increase.
Wait until March. Teams are going to be looking back on those. Is North Dakota going to look at this loss at Clarkson? Penn State losing at home to Clarkson? Some of these other upsets along the way. Sacred Heart and Ohio State, teams that might be kind of on the edge or kind of on the bubble looking at an at-large. Is this one game going to end up being the whole difference as to whether they go to the postseason? We see that every year, but we may be looking at a lot more teams with a little regret about those October games that mean as much as the ones in March.
Yes, we finally got to it. It took us till October 27th to throw out the games in October. I mean, the same as the games in February. Love it. And
Yeah, we're there, right? And we're seeing that, we'll have to see. And don't forget the NPI will tell you that, we're going to take out the outlier math with the NPI, that and maybe you won't have Sacred Heart passing Ohio State, say, in the ranking of the NPI, because that abnormality is gone. But we're still going to see teams that are going to look back and go, damn it, why? Why did we have that loss home in November? Why did we have that loss in the second week of the season? Those were the crucial ones that hurt us. But we're going to be talking about it certainly end of February, beginning of March.
I used it today with my team because we're starting league play, and I used it with my guys and said, hey, the games in October are the same as the games in February as far as standings go, and the points that you lose right now in the standings will end up biting you in February when you wish you could have them back and you can't. And that's the same thing.
Yeah.
And no matter what the new math says, Tim.
Yeah, and the funny thing about all of this, the funny thing about all this, well, we got two Tims that we work with on those numbers, but the funny thing about all of this is you're also going to have a point at which you can no longer remove games that hurt you, because you're going to, what is it, 10? You got to keep at least 10 games in the calculation, something like that. 12 this year.
Yeah.
So that could end up.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you have a conference where you have a couple of teams that are really struggling overall, and you get some of your wins against those teams, then you're going to add in maybe a non-conference game. These are the numbers you'd love to have pulled, but if you don't have the right number of games representative in your NPI, it does keep some of those games in. So it'll be interesting to see if that will move the needle much at all.
So you might be in the last week of the season or in the playoffs rooting for somebody to lose so they're bad enough to come off and not win so that they stay on.
I'm glad I'm not a math major at Western Michigan. I don't even know if I took a math class in 1994 at Western.
We're going to wrap it up here. For Jim Connolly, for Derek Schooley, I'm Ed Trefsker, and this has been Upon Further Review.